The grand chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent. The air felt heavy with fear. 200 alien representatives from across the stars sat frozen as they watched the display screens. The images showed cities burning and people dying on a distant world. Ambassador Krelzik of the Thalaxian hegemony stood in the center of the room. His 6 limbs trembled as he struggled to stay upright. His outer shell, usually a bright blue, had turned a dull gray from stress and grief. "My world burns," he said, his voice translator making his words sound flat. 3 billion of my people are dead. Our fleet is destroyed. We beg for help from the council. The council members looked at each other. None wanted to speak first. These were peaceful beings from gentle worlds. Their ships were built for trade and science, not war. Their weapons were mostly for show. "What enemies attack you?" asked the council leader, a tall, thin being with skin like golden leaves. "The Voidborn," Krelzik said. A worried sound passed through the chamber. Everyone had heard stories of the Voidborn, machine-like beings that traveled from galaxy to galaxy, taking everything they found useful and destroying the rest. "They came, without warning," Krelzik continued. "We tried to talk to them, we offered them resources. When that failed, we tried to fight. Nothing worked. They do not speak, they do not negotiate, they only take and destroy." From an observation booth high above the main floor, Admiral Lisa Murphy of Earth watched with sharp eyes. Her gray uniform stood out among the colorful clothes of the few humans allowed in the council spaces. At 65 years old, Murphy had spent 40 years in the Earth Defense Force. Her short white hair and lined face showed her years of service. "How many ships?" she asked her aide, Lieutenant Alan Pierce, a young officer with dark skin and serious eyes. "Reports say over 50 Voidborn ships," Pierce said quietly. "The Thalaxians had 25 ships in their defense fleet, all destroyed in less than 1 day." Murphy nodded slowly. Humans had only been part of the Galactic Council for 30 years. Earth had been found by alien explorers who were surprised to discover intelligent life on such a dangerous planet. They called Earth a death world, a planet with high gravity, extreme weather, and aggressive life forms. When humans joined the Council, many alien races were afraid of them. Humans were stronger, faster, and more aggressive than most species that had evolved on peaceful worlds. The Council limited human expansion into space and restricted Earth's military development. They called humans primitive and violent. Now, as Murphy watched the fear spread through the council chamber, she saw an opportunity. "Contact Washington," she told Pierce. "Tell them the galaxy just remembered why they invited us to join." 6 hours later, Murphy stood in a secure communication room facing a wall-sized screen. On it was the image of President Samuel Carter, a tall man with dark brown skin and a serious expression. "The situation is clear, Mr. President," Murphy said. "The Voidborn have destroyed 6 Thalaxian worlds and are moving toward the center of Council space. The Council races have no real military. They've been at peace for so long they've forgotten how to fight. And they want our help?" "President," Carter asked. "Yes, sir, the Council is preparing a formal request. They want Earth's military to lead the defense against the Voidborn." "The same military they've been trying to limit for 30 years, Carter said with a small smile. "Suddenly our primitive violence is useful." "Exactly, sir." Carter was quiet for a moment. "What's your assessment, Admiral?" "The Voidborn are advanced but not unbeatable. From what we've seen, they've never faced a species from a high-gravity world before. Their ships are designed to fight the kind of defensive battles Council races prefer. They won't be ready for how humans fight. Casualties? Will be high," Murphy admitted. "But if we don't stop the Voidborn now, they'll keep moving through Council space until they reach Earth. Better to fight them on someone else's planet than our own." Carter nodded. "I'll call an emergency session of Congress, but I already know what they'll say. Begin preparations, Admiral. You'll have everything Earth can provide." "Yes, sir." As Murphy left the communication room, she found Lieutenant Pierce waiting for her. "Orders, Admiral?" he asked. "Contact Earth Fleet Command. I want every ship we have ready to move in 48 hours. Then find me the Council's military liaison." "Do they have one?" Murphy smiled. They're creating the position right now. For me. The next day, Murphy stood again in the center of the council chamber. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with hope as she spoke. Earth accepts the council's request for military aid, she said firmly. The Earth Defense Fleet will move to protect council space and stop the Voidborn advance. A murmur went through the crowd. Relief, yes, but also worry. Many council members still feared humans almost as much as they feared the Voidborn. How many ships can Earth provide? Asked an alien with features like a deer. 200 combat-ready. Vessels will deploy within 48 hours, Murphy replied. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. The council races had no idea humans had built so many warships. But the Treaty of Alpha Centauri limits Earth to 50 military vessels in council space. Protested a small, insect-like being. Murphy's face hardened. That treaty is now void. Earth will no longer accept limitations on our military capacity. If you want our help, you get all of us, not just the parts that make you comfortable. The council leader stepped forward. We accept your terms, Admiral Murphy. The council formally requests Earth's full military assistance against the Voidborn threat. Murphy nodded. Then as of this moment, I am taking command of all council defense forces. Any ships you have will be placed under Earth command. All military decisions will be made by Earth officers. She turned to leave, then stopped and looked back at the silent chamber. For 30 years, you've called us violent, primitive, dangerous. You've been right. Humans come from a world that tried to kill us every day. We became strong by surviving. We learned to fight because we had to. Her voice softened slightly. Now you need what we are. You need warriors. You need killers. You need humans. And we will come, bringing fire and fury to your enemies, because that's what Deathworlders do. As she walked out, Lieutenant Pierce fell in step beside her. Think they understand what they've asked for? He said quietly. Murphy shook her head. No, but they will. Across Earth, military bases hummed with activity as sealed orders activated long-prepared plans. In orbital shipyards, warships moved into formation. Troops said goodbye to families. Weapons were loaded, medical ships stocked supplies. The Deathworlders were going to war. General Frank Donovan stood tall in the Pentagon's main briefing room. Maps and charts covered the walls, showing stars and planets most humans had never heard of until recently. The Joint Chiefs of Staff sat in a half-circle, their faces serious, as they studied the information before them. The Voidborn have destroyed 6 worlds in the Thalaxian hegemony, Donovan said, pointing to red marks on the star map. They move fast and show no interest in talking. Their ships are large and powerful, but not particularly quick. Defense Secretary Olivia Carter leaned forward. Her dark skin contrasted with her silver hair, and her eyes missed nothing. What exactly do the council races expect from us? Everything, Donovan replied simply. Their ships are built for science and trade. Most have weapons, but nothing like what we have. Their crews have no combat training. Their war plans are thousands of years old and were never meant to be used. And yet they limited our military development, Admiral Howard Gregory said, his voice showing his anger. For 30 years, they've treated us like barbarians. They've restricted our colonial expansion and watched our every move. President? Nathan Spencer removed his glasses and rubbed his tired eyes. He was a quiet man who thought carefully before speaking. The protection agreement we signed was clear, he said finally. If any council species faces an extinction-level threat, we are obligated to respond. Sir? Gregory started to protest, but Spencer held up his hand. I know, Admiral. They haven't treated us as equals. But this isn't about the past. It's about what happens next. If the Voidborn destroy the Council worlds, Earth will stand alone against them. The room fell silent as everyone considered this. Truth. How long until the Earth Defense Fleet is ready? Spencer asked. 12 more hours, Mr. President, Donovan answered. We're loading the last of the supplies and finalizing battle plans. What about the new ships? Carter asked. Donovan nodded to a young captain who stepped forward with a new set of images. The EDF Valkyrie and 5 other Thunderbolt-class destroyers will be ready for combat in 10 hours, the captain said. They're our newest and most powerful ships. The images showed sleek, dangerous-looking vessels with heavy armor and multiple weapon systems. These ships had been built in secret, hidden from Council observers who would have objected to their clearly military design. Operation Prometheus begins in 24 hours, President Spencer announced. General Donovan will serve as Earth Force Commander. Admiral Murphy will continue as liaison with the Council races. As the meeting ended, Spencer asked Donovan to stay behind. Frank, the President said once they were alone, what are our real chances? Donovan considered the question carefully. The Voidborn have numbers and advanced technology, but they've never fought humans before. We're stronger, faster, and more aggressive than the Council races. We think differently. We fight differently. And your recommendation? Hit them hard and fast. Don't fight the way they expect. Use our strengths, our creativity, our willingness to take risks, our ability to adapt. The Voidborn have been winning easily against the Council races. They won't be ready for us. Spencer nodded slowly. Do what you need to do, General. Earth is counting on you. The whole galaxy is counting on you. Across Earth, final preparations moved quickly. In the giant shipyard orbiting Mars, Captain Diane Russell walked through the corridors of the EDF Valkyrie. At 42, Russell had spent 20 years in space, rising quickly through the ranks. Her short brown hair was streaked with gray, and her blue eyes missed nothing as she inspected her new command. Status report, she said to Commander Eric. Warren, her second in command. All systems green, Captain, Warren replied. Crew is at 98%. Weapons are loaded and tested. We're ready. Russell nodded. The Valkyrie was the newest and most advanced ship in Earth's fleet. 3 times larger than any previous human warship, it carried weapons that would have horrified the Council races if they had known about them. And our Council observer? Russell asked. Warren frowned slightly. Ambassador Nexaval is on board. He seems nervous. I would be too, if I were him, Russell said. He's about to see how Deathworlders fight. In another part of the ship, Lieutenant Maria Santiago checked her squad's combat suits one last time. The powered armor made each Marine stronger, faster, and more deadly. Built to withstand vacuum and extreme conditions, the suits would allow human soldiers to board enemy ships, a tactic the Council races considered barbaric, but that humans knew was sometimes necessary. Everything good? Santiago asked Sergeant Peter Kim, her most experienced soldier. Kim nodded, ready to show these Voidborn what humans can do. Santiago smiled grimly. Remember the plan. Quick and aggressive. Don't give them time to adapt. Throughout the ship, similar scenes played out as the crew of 500 made final preparations. The Valkyrie would lead a battle group of 20 ships to the Proxima Centauri system, where the Voidborn had just begun their attack. In Washington, D.C., President Spencer addressed the people of Earth from the Oval Office. Fellow citizens, he began, for 30 years humanity has been part of a larger galactic community. We have learned much from the Council races, even as they have kept us at arm's length, fearing our strength and our history of conflict. Paused, looking directly into the camera. Today, that strength is needed. A threat called the Voidborn is attacking worlds across our sector of the galaxy. The Council races have asked for our help, and we will give it. Not just because our agreements require it, but because it is the right thing to do. Spencer's voice grew firmer. Earth has always produced warriors when they were needed. Throughout our history, when darkness threatened, men and women have stood up to face it. Today, that darkness comes from the stars, and once again, we will stand against it. 12 hours later, the Earth Defense Fleet moved into position. 200 warships formed up in Earth orbit, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight. On the bridge of the EDF Valkyrie, Captain Russell received the final launch order. All ships, this is Fleet Command, came General Donovan's voice over the secure channel. Operation Prometheus is now active. You are cleared to proceed to your assigned targets. Good hunting. Acknowledged, Command, Russell replied. She turned to her crew. Navigation. Set course for Proxima Centauri. All hands. Prepare for faster than light jump. Ambassador Nexaval watched with wide eyes as the massive fleet began to move. His species had always feared humans' capacity for violence. Now he was about to witness it firsthand. As the ships accelerated away from Earth, their engines glowed bright against the darkness of space. The Deathworlders were going to war, bringing with them all the fire and fury that had made them feared throughout the galaxy. Now that fear would be turned against the Voidborn. The EDF Valkyrie dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. The star's red light filled the bridge view screen. Captain Diane Russell felt the slight shudder as the ship's engines switched to normal space operations. Around the Valkyrie, 19 other Earth warships appeared one by one, their metal hulls gleaming. "Status report," Russell ordered, her voice calm despite the tension everyone felt. Commander Eric Warren studied his screens. "All ships present and accounted for, Captain. No damage from the jump." "Scan the system," Russell said. "Find the Voidborn." The bridge crew worked quickly. Lieutenant Kyle Wilson at the sensor station spoke first. "Voidborn vessels detected, Captain. 3 large ships, likely harvesters, and 24 smaller escort vessels. They're in orbit around the 3rd planet." "Any council ships?" "One Thalaxian cruiser," Wilson replied. "It's badly damaged. Life support is failing." Russell nodded, grimly. The Thalaxians had tried to defend their colony on Proxima Centauri III, but they were no match for the Voidborn. Now, it was humanity's turn. "What's the population of the colony?" she asked. "About 40,000 Thalaxians," Warren answered. The planet was just being settled. Ambassador Nexaval stepped forward. The small, blue-skinned alien had been silent until now, watching the humans with large, nervous eyes. "Captain," he said, his translator making his voice sound flat. "Those people might still be alive. The Voidborn typically harvest resources first, then move on to living beings." Russell turned to her communications officer. "Lieutenant Cho, broadcast on all frequencies. Let's see if the Voidborn will talk before we fight." Cho nodded and opened a channel. "Ready, Captain." Russell straightened her uniform and spoke clearly. "This is Captain Diane Russell of the Earth Defense Fleet. To all Voidborn vessels, you have violated Council space and committed genocide against sentient species. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed." Everyone waited. 10 seconds passed. 20. The response came as a series of bright energy beams fired from the Voidborn ships, aimed at the human fleet. The beams missed, but the message was clear. "They've made their choice," Russell said quietly. "Battle formation Delta. All ships, weapons free." The human fleet moved with quick precision, unlike the Council races, who would have stayed far away, and exchanged long-range fire. The Earth ships accelerated directly toward the enemy. This aggressive approach clearly surprised the Voidborn, whose next volley of energy weapons missed entirely. Ambassador Nexaval gasped. "Captain, you're moving closer to them?" "That's right," Russell said without taking her eyes off the tactical display. "Humans don't fight from a distance if we can help it." The Valkyrie shook as it absorbed a hit from a Voidborn weapon. "Damage." Reports flashed on screens, but the ship's heavy armor had done its job. "Return fire," Russell ordered. "All batteries." The Valkyrie's main guns fired. Solid metal rounds accelerated to incredible speeds by electromagnetic forces slammed into the nearest Voidborn ship. The alien vessel's shields flared and failed under the impact. Throughout the human fleet, similar scenes played out. Earth ships moved in fast, taking damage but giving back much more. Missiles with nuclear warheads detonated in carefully planned patterns, disrupting Voidborn formations. Electronic warfare systems jammed enemy communications. On the bridge of the Valkyrie, Russell watched the battle unfold. "Deploy the boarding teams," she ordered. Warren looked up in surprise. "Captain, are you sure? We don't know what's inside. Those ships." "That's why we're going to find out," Russell replied. "Lieutenant Santiago's team has been training for this. Launch them toward the damaged harvester." In the ship's launch bay, Lieutenant Maria Santiago and her squad of 20 Marines checked their powered armor one last time, Each suit was a self-contained unit that could operate in vacuum or hostile atmospheres. Each Marine carried multiple weapons designed to work in any environment. "Listen up," Santiago told her team. "We're going in blind. We don't know what these Voidborn look like or how they fight. Stay together, watch each other's backs, and remember your training." Sergeant Peter Kim grinned inside his helmet. "Just another day at the office, LT." Santiago nodded. "Mount up." The Marines entered their boarding pods, small armored vessels designed to attach to enemy ships like ticks on a dog. The pods would cut through the hull, allowing the Marines to enter. "Boarding team ready," Santiago reported. "Launch," came Russell's voice over the comm. The pods shot out from the Valkyrie, small engines guiding them toward the damaged Voidborn harvester. On tactical screens throughout the human fleet, officers watched as the first direct contact between humans and Voidborn was about to happen. Inside her pod, Santiago felt the impact as it struck the Voidborn ship's hull. Automatic systems activated, and cutting lasers began slicing through the alien metal. Within seconds, there was a hole large enough for the Marines to enter. "We're in," Santiago reported as she led her team into the Voidborn ship. The atmosphere is breathable, but thin. Gravity is lighter than Earth normal. The Marines moved through dark corridors that seemed to be made of metal and some kind of biological material combined. The walls pulsed slightly, as if the ship itself was alive. "Movement ahead," Kim reported, his weapon ready. Around a corner came the first Voidborn anyone had ever seen up close. It was tall and thin, with 4 arms and a body that seemed to be part machine, part organic. Its head had no eyes that the humans could see, just sensor arrays where a face should be. The Voidborn raised a weapon, but Kim was faster. His rifle fired and the alien fell. "They can die," he said simply. More Voidborn appeared. The Marines formed a defensive position and returned fire. Their Earth-made weapons, designed to work in any environment and against unknown enemies, proved effective against the Voidborn. "Captain, we're inside," Santiago reported between bursts of gunfire. The Voidborn appeared to be cyborgs, part biological, part machine. "Our weapons are effective. Request permission to move to the ship's control center." "Granted," Russell replied. "Get us whatever intelligence you can." The battle in space continued. 2 human ships had been destroyed, but the Voidborn were faring much worse. 8 of their escort vessels were now just debris floating in space. One of the harvesters was heavily damaged, its engines dead. On the Valkyrie's bridge, Ambassador Nexaval watched with wide eyes. "Your people fight differently than any species I have seen," he said to Russell. "We come from a dangerous world," Russell replied without looking away from her tactical display. "Everything on Earth evolved to survive against threats. We learned to be aggressive because standing back meant death. The Council feared this about humans," Nexaval admitted. "Now I see it is exactly what we needed." After 3 hours of intense fighting, the remaining Voidborn ships began to retreat. Their formation broke, and they accelerated away from the planet. "Should we pursue?" Warren asked. Russell considered for a moment. "No. Our primary mission is to secure this system and save any survivors. The Voidborn will be back, and we'll be ready." She opened a channel to all ships. "This is Captain Russell. The enemy is retreating. Well done, everyone. Begin search and rescue operations on the planet and the damaged Thalaxian cruiser." As medical teams prepared to head to the surface, Russell received one more report from Santiago's boarding team. "Captain, we've reached what seems to be their command center. We've downloaded their navigation data. You need to see this." "What? Did you find, Lieutenant?" Santiago's voice was grim. "Their flight plans, Captain. They weren't just hitting random targets. They have a list of every council world in order of attack. And after that, Earth, Captain. They were saving us for last." 2 months had passed since the first battle at Proxima Centauri. The War Council aboard the EDF Intrepid included both human military leaders and representatives from the Galactic Council. The large meeting room was filled with maps, charts, and holographic displays showing the movement of both human and Voidborn fleets. Admiral Kevin Reyes stood at the front of the room. At 55, he had a weathered face and steady hands. He pointed to the tactical map, where red markers showed the void-born retreat across 3 sectors of space. "We've pushed them back from all populated worlds in this region," he said. "But the cost has been high. 4 of our ships destroyed completely, 11 more damaged and needing repairs." Ambassador Thelzari of the Asherini Confederation bobbed nervously. He was a small being with feather-like growths covering his body. "Such violence," he said quietly. "Such destruction. We had no idea humans could fight." Lieutenant Colonel Sofia Ramirez cut in. She was a tall woman with dark eyes that had seen too much in the past weeks. "That's why we're here, isn't it? Because you needed barbarians?" The room fell silent. The alien representatives looked uncomfortable. The human officers did not apologize. Medical Officer Julia Kent spoke next. She was younger than most of the officers, with red hair and a serious face. 247 human casualties so far, she reported. 312 dead, 935 wounded, most of whom will recover in time. "For worlds that aren't even ours," someone muttered. Admiral Reyes held up a hand. "We all agreed to this mission. We knew the costs might be high." He turned to a new display showing the void-born ship that Lieutenant Santiago's team had boarded. "Thanks. To the data we recovered, we now know more about our enemy. The void-born are a collective species, part biological, part machine. They travel from galaxy to galaxy, collecting resources and adding to their numbers. They don't communicate with other species because they don't see us as anything but resources to be harvested." "How do we stop them?" asked Thelzari. "We hit them harder," Ramirez said simply. "They're adapting to our tactics, but so are we. For every ship we lose, they lose 3. Another human officer brought up images from the ground fighting on Proxima Centauri III. Human soldiers in powered armor moved among burned buildings, securing the area and helping survivors. "The void-born don't expect resistance once they land," the officer explained. "They've never faced ground troops like ours before. We're pushing them back on every front." Reports came in from other battles across Council space. Sergeant Ben Cooper's voice was tired as he described the terrain on Thalax Prime, the Thalaxian homeworld. "They targeted civilians first," he said. "We're finding entire cities. Processed. The void-born were turning people into raw materials." He paused, struggling to stay professional. "Our troops are having trouble dealing with the scale of it, but we're making progress." Despite the Council representatives' discomfort, human psychological support units had been deployed alongside combat forces. Commander Grace Williams led the first response team on Proxima Colony, working with survivors while human engineers rebuilt critical infrastructure. "The Council species don't understand the toll this takes," Admiral Reyes told President Spencer, via secure channel after the meeting. "They wanted our ferocity against the void-born, but they're terrified by what they're seeing. After this war, they'll never look at humanity the same way again." Spencer's image on the screen looked tired. "Are we winning, Kevin?" "Yes, sir. But it's not a clean win. It's ugly and bloody. The kind of fighting humans are good at." 2 days. Later, on the bridge of the repaired EDF Valkyrie, Captain Russell received new orders. Her ship, along with 10 others, would push into void-born-controlled space to find and destroy one of their main fleet bases. "This is our chance to hit them where it hurts," she told her crew. "Intelligence believes they have a central command node in the Sirius system. We're going to find it and destroy it." Commander Warren looked at the mission details with concern. "This will take us deep into enemy territory, Captain. If something goes wrong, we'll be on our own." "I know," Russell replied. "But that's what humans do. We take risks when they're necessary." As they prepared the ship, Russell visited the medical bay where some of Santiago's Marines were still recovering from the boarding action 2 months ago. Sergeant Kim sat up in his bed when he saw her. The right side of his face was newly scarred, but he managed to smile. "Captain," he greeted her, "please tell me we're going back to fight." "We are," she said. "How are you feeling?" "Ready to get back out there," Kim said firmly. "These void-born need to learn what happens when you threaten humans and our allies." Russell nodded. "The doctor says you'll be cleared for duty tomorrow. Lieutenant Santiago is putting together another boarding team. She asked for you specifically. Wouldn't miss it, Captain. In another part of the ship, Lieutenant Santiago was training new Marines to replace those lost in previous battles. The ship's large exercise room had been converted into a training ground with obstacles and targets. The Voidborn aren't like us, she told the new soldiers. They don't feel fear the way we do. They don't retreat to save themselves. But they can be killed, and they can be beaten. She demonstrated the weak points they had discovered in Voidborn armor and showed videos from previous boarding actions. We're faster than they are, she explained. We think more creatively. Use that to your advantage. One of the new Marines, Private Jack Rivera, raised his hand. Why are we fighting so hard for aliens who are afraid of us? Santiago considered the question. Because that's what humans do. We protect those who can't protect themselves. And because if the Voidborn finish with the Council worlds, Earth is next. Throughout Council space, the story was the same. Human forces pushed back against the Voidborn advance, taking heavy losses, but inflicting even greater damage on the enemy. On planets that had been attacked, human aid workers and engineers helped rebuild, working alongside aliens who had once viewed humans with suspicion. On the Council homeworld, now protected by a human defense fleet, Admiral Lisa Murphy met with the Council's governing body. The Voidborn are retreating in most sectors, she reported, but they're regrouping for another push. We've destroyed perhaps 30% of their forces in this galaxy. And the cost to humanity? Asked the Council leader. Murphy's face showed no emotion. High, but we consider it necessary. The Council did not expect such commitment, the leader admitted. When we asked for help, we thought perhaps you would send a few ships, offer some technology. That's not how humans help, Murphy replied. When we commit to a fight, we commit fully. As she left the Council chamber, Murphy received a transmission from the Valkyrie battle group. Captain Russell's mission into Voidborn territory had begun. The human fleet was pushing deeper into enemy space, bringing fire and fury to the Voidborn's doorstep. The Deathworlders were taking the fight to the enemy. 18 months after the first battle, the massive human flagship EDF Horizon floated in space near what had once been the Voidborn Central Command. The ship was 3 times the size of any previous human vessel, built during the war with technology, learned from both Council races and captured Voidborn ships. Admiral Lisa Murphy, now Supreme Commander of Allied Forces, stood on the bridge. Her uniform was decorated with new medals, but her face showed the strain of leading a galactic war. Beside her stood representatives from 12 different Council species, all watching the screens with a mixture of relief and disbelief. On the main display, the last Voidborn ship was powering down its weapons. The long, brutal war was ending. They're surrendering, said Commander Pierce, Murphy's aide. All Voidborn units have ceased fire and are awaiting instructions. Murphy nodded slowly. Open a channel to the Voidborn Nexus Core. When the connection was established, a strange, multi-voice sound came through the speakers. The Voidborn collective consciousness was speaking through its central hub. We acknowledge defeat, the artificial-sounding voice said. The humans fought in ways we could not predict. We accept your terms. All Voidborn units will withdraw beyond the galactic barrier, Murphy stated firmly. Your harvesting technology will be dismantled. Any worlds you have damaged will be restored with your help before you leave. We agree, the Voidborn replied. We have never encountered a species like yours. You are the first to defeat us in 16 galaxies. The transmission ended. Murphy turned to the Council representatives. It's over, she said simply. The Council members reacted in different ways. Some wept with relief. Others stood in silent shock. The Thalaxian representative stepped forward. Admiral Murphy, he said, his voice translator struggling to convey his emotion. Humanity has saved us all. The Council will never forget this. Murphy's smile was tired but genuine. Make sure you don't forget how we did it. The same strength you feared is what protected you. 3 weeks later, Earth had changed. The Council chambers on Earth, relocated after the destruction of the original Council homeworld, buzzed with new energy. Human architectural elements now dominated the rebuilt structure, a physical reminder of changed power dynamics. President Spencer stood before the assembled delegates from all council worlds. He had aged visibly during the war, with more gray in his hair and new lines on his face, but he stood tall and proud as he addressed the gathered aliens. Humanity did not ask to be the guardians of galactic peace, he said. We were invited to your table reluctantly, tolerated rather than welcomed. Yet when darkness came, we answered the call. The council leader, a new one since the war began, nodded in agreement. The galaxy owes humanity a debt we can never fully repay. We ask forgiveness for our past fears and restrictions. We see now that what we feared in you was exactly what saved us all. Ambassador Ryan Mitchell, head of Earth's diplomatic corps, presented the new security protocols that would govern the galaxy going forward. No longer would humans be restricted in their development or expansion. The Earth Defense Fleet would form the backbone of a new galactic security force. We will share our technology and our training, Mitchell explained. But more importantly, we will share our perspective. The galaxy needs both peace and strength. The Council races no peace. Humans no strength. Together, we create balance. Across the galaxy, human reconstruction teams worked alongside Council engineers rebuilding worlds damaged in the war. On the Thalaxian homeworld, a memorial designed by human architect Allison Grant stood at the center of the new capital, a flame that would burn eternally, remembering both alien and human sacrifices. Captain Diane Russell, now promoted to Admiral, walked with Ambassador Nexaval through the memorial gardens. The small blue alien had been her observer during that first battle and had since become a trusted friend. It's strange, Nexaval said, how my people once feared humans. We called you violent, primitive, dangerous. We are all those things, Russell replied. But we're other things too, protective, determined, willing to sacrifice for others. The perfect guardians, Nexaval said. From your dangerous world came the strength the galaxy needed. In orbit above Earth, Lieutenant Maria Santiago, now Colonel Santiago, led training exercises with mixed groups of human and alien soldiers. The new Galactic Defense Force included members from all Council races, though humans still formed the core of combat units. Again, Santiago ordered as a group of Thalaxian and Asherini recruits practiced boarding actions. Faster this time. Work together. Use each species' strengths. Sergeant Peter Kim, now a lieutenant himself despite his scars, demonstrated hand-to-hand combat techniques to another group. The Voidborn are gone, he told them, but the galaxy is a big place. We train now so we're ready for whatever comes next. On the far edge of Council space, the remaining Voidborn ships moved slowly toward the galactic barrier, under human escort. Their threat was ended. Their collective consciousness had accepted defeat for the first time in its long existence. Some Council members had wanted to destroy them completely, but humanity had insisted on mercy with strength, allowing the Voidborn to leave after their weapons were dismantled. In military academies across Earth, a new generation prepared for their role as galactic protectors. Young men and women studied not just warfare but diplomacy, alien cultures, and ethics. The stars that had once seemed to hold judgment now offered opportunity, earned through blood and sacrifice. President Spencer and Admiral Murphy stood at the window of the rebuilt Council Tower on Earth, looking up at the night sky. Do you think they understand yet? Murphy asked quietly. The Council races? Spencer shook his head. Not fully. They're grateful, but they still don't truly understand us. They will in time, Murphy said. We're teaching them that strength and compassion can exist together. That being willing to fight doesn't mean you want war. The burden of protection is heavy, Spencer noted. Our casualties were high. But our purpose is clear, Murphy replied. Humans have always needed something worth fighting for. Now we have an entire galaxy. Across that galaxy, Council species studied humanity with new eyes, no longer seeing primitive Deathworlders, but the species that had brought fire and fury when extinction loomed. Some feared this new order. Others embraced it. none would forget. On 100 worlds, the story was told of how the peaceful galaxy had faced destruction, how they had begged for help, and how the Deathworlders, once feared and restricted, had saved them all. The Deathworlders had changed the galaxy forever, and the galaxy had changed them too.